All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is our first webinar from C11 at the University of Gloucestershire. My name is Ali Al-Sherbaz. I'm the academic subject leader for the Technical and Applied Computing. I'm going to ask my colleague Rial to talk about the details, but actually, once we have our virtual conference cyber symposium back in June, one of the outcomes is to have a monthly webinar to talk about cyber relevant topics. So before we start to introduce our speakers, Dr. Asad Musa, I would like to ask my colleague Rial to have a few words about C11. Rial, the mic.
Okay, and thank you, Ali. So my name's Rael Pentland-Smith. I am the Business Development Manager out at C11, Cybersecurity and Digital Innovation Center, which again, as Ali stated, is part of the University of Gloucestershire. Excuse me. So as life returns to normal, we're pleased to see that our events and activities out at C11 are continuing to grow. We're seeing a return to the use of our training and conferencing facilities. And I've got a couple of key events that I'd like to tell you a little bit more about. So firstly, C11 will be the venue and a sponsor for a COP26 Gloucestershire Fringe event being held by the Active Building Centre on October 21st. So this is a regional event that's being held in advance of the global COP26 in Glasgow, and will focus on related issues of sustainability, particularly in building design, and where technology and cybersecurity fit into the global environmental solution. So we've got colleagues from the university that will be part of the professional panels, considering issues around the role of the public sector in attaining net zero, and also the need for cybersecurity in sustainable building design and control. So I will put a link into the chat. Please have a look and join us if you can. The second event I wanted to tell you about is an employer event specifically designed for businesses looking to increase or improve their cybersecurity knowledge or staffing. So this is a meet and greet. It's a free event being held at our Park campus in Cheltenham on October 28th, on a Thursday, late afternoon. It's designed for employers from all industries that would like to look or consider tapping into the flow of new cyber professionals. So the University of Gloucestershire, with its partners from the Institute of Coding, will provide an overview on how employers can make contact with our cyber bootcamp graduates. This is a new group of professionals coming out of our one of our learning programs, and with a view to interviewing them for maybe full or part-time employment. So it's a late afternoon, nibbles and drinks, a brief presentation, and a chance to discuss your employment and training needs. Again, I'll add a link into the chat. It's Park Campus on October 28th. Next up is just the fact that C11 will be exhibiting at the upcoming 3 Counties 3CDSE Expo at the 3 Counties Showground on November 4th. Feel free to stop by and say hello. And then lastly, just a reminder that our next webinar will be on November 2nd. And we'll be hosting Mike Madden from DASA, the Defense and Security Accelerator Program, who will be discussing some of the latest in the innovation funding opportunities available for businesses. So please mark your calendars for November 2nd and join us if you can. That's all I've got for the time. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you very much, Rial. Thanks for summarizing the C11 activities. Now, I would like to have some housekeeping about the webinar, but I'm going to introduce Dr. Asad Musa, our speakers, in a minute. But meanwhile, if you have any question, please, you can either write the question in the chat area, or once Dr. Asad finishes, you can raise your hand and I can give you a mic and you can ask your questions. So our speaker today is Dr. Asad Musa. His title talks about bridging the cybersecurity skills gap, challenges and solutions. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at BFBS. He's the chair of the UK DTG Cybersecurity Group, 15 years of experience in IT cybersecurity, both in public and private sector. Worked as a lecturer at the as a lecturer of computer science at Reading University. He supervised around 20 master students in cybersecurity. Asad is certified by ISO OSCP CISSP ISO 27001 and Microsoft MT and ITIL. It's a long list. You can talk about it, Asad, later on. He has 3 degrees, first degree in computer engineering, the second one in master in high performance computing, and PhD in cybersecurity. Thank you very much, Dr. Asad, for coming to us today, and the mic is yours. Feel free to share your screen and start your talk, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Let me share my slides. Second. So I'm going to turn off my camera as well.
We can see the slide now.
Can you see it? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you for the introduction, Dr. Ali, and I'm pleased to join the C11 today to share with you this topic on bridging the cybersecurity skills gap, and we will talk about the challenges and the solutions. So starting with the agenda here, I'm going to keep it short. We have 25 slides, so this will be maximum half an hour on the slides. So I'm not going to bore you with that with the slides. We'll cover these main topics. So we'll talk about the cyber warfare in action and the demand on cybersecurity. How big is the demand at the moment and the future as well. We will also talk about the challenges for resourcing for cybersecurity. There's a demand, of course, but what are the challenges that are blocking people or making it difficult for people to join the sector? We also will talk about the, in light of these challenges and for this demand, and the demand is huge, as you can imagine. There are some current solutions the market or the multiple industries they adapted to use to fill the gap until we have more people joining the battlefield and more boots on the ground. And finally, we'll talk about the current jobs in the cybersecurity market. So if you are interested in joining the cybersecurity, I will show you and share with you where do you fit in the current scale of jobs available at the moment in the cybersecurity market. Okay. So let's talk about first about what's happening in between the real world and the cyber world. And this is, I think, it's like stating the obvious that when I say all our lives at the moment is dependent on the digital world, on the cyber world. It's not a secret for anyone to know that governments as well as private sectors are working hard to make sure we protect ourselves, whether businesses, universities, public sector, private sector, and even armies and militaries around the world. There's a race to create more defenses and specialized units to protect their nations. So all aspects of our lives are connected to the digital world, and it's really hard to draw a line between what is real and what is digital when it comes to our livelihood. But I would like to approach it from a point of when we talk about the armed conflicts around the world, and this is from this website, the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. Within this year, 2021. They register where the conflicts are around the world. So there are certain places, locations where there are still armed forces, where there are deadly conflicts and registered. So this is our world in this year. If I ask you, what do you think the cyber world looks like when it comes to digital armed conflicts? And without keeping you wondering longer, I'm going to show you. So keep this in mind, visualize in your mind when you see the next slide, which is this one. This is how the cyber warfare looks like in action. Countries, governments criminal groups and people from different ideologies. They are conflicting. So I mean, if I just go back one slide here to the real world, these conflicts are, if you study politics or try to understand what's going on, it's about ideologies and conflict of interest, financial, economic reasons, and they are demonstrated or represented or manifested into armed conflicts. But the cyberspace is so busy. I refer to it as the third world war. Is actually already happening. It's in the digital space, and this is how it looks like. And if you see it in animation, if this explain it even further, this shows you the what's happening day in, day out, around the clock in the digital space. So just keep in mind, I'm not pushing you away from joining the cybersecurity. In fact, I want you to be interested in cybersecurity. But if you're interested into helping us with this cyber warfare, please, we need more people, because it's a real war happening out there. I collected some examples for you on a time scale of the main events in the last 10 years of what happened in the cyberspace. That is really eye-opening, and we need to consider where we are going with this. And this is, remember, this is looking in the last 10 years, not the next 10 years. So if you imagine what happened in the next, if you can see what happened in the last 10 years, you can reflect on what could possibly happen in the next 10 years. So starting from August 2012. There was a virus created and sent to the oil sector and gas sector in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, where actually it was a wiper, not even a virus, where it wipes machines in terms of wiping data and files on these machines, and obviously disrupting the production of oil and gas in these countries. Moving to April 2013, it took only 12 words, last time I counted, in a Twitter from the Associated Press, which when it was hacked, and only these 12 words saying breaking 2 explosions in the White House and Barack Obama is injured. This tweet costed the stock exchange market losses estimated by $136.5 billion within a few minutes here. And this shows you, like, when we rely heavily on the digital world and our financial services taking everything's happening in the digital world literally, they will consider this tweet as real, and then immediately it will affect the financial sector. And by the way, this was only how they managed to hack into the Twitter account was by sending them phishing emails, as simple as that. Phishing emails, to a fake login page, they harvested some passwords, they tried it on the main Twitter account, and then they tweeted these words, and this caused all these losses. Moving from the financial sector to the critical national infrastructure, an attempt in December 2015, hackers tried to control a dam in New York in the US, and obviously I leave it to your imagination what they were trying to do if they take control of a dam, and whether, depending on their motivation, could be devastating and could lead to significant deaths. Another big event in April 2015. Actually, this was very interesting because this is where I work in this sector, the broadcasting and defense. We call this event the Doomsday in the broadcasting sector, where, if you are not familiar with the TV5 Monde, this is the French BBC, the worldwide network of broadcasting and media in 12 channels, and millions of people around the world, they follow this broadcaster, and it was hacked in a very orchestrated attack, which took months for the hackers to build it inside this broadcaster network, and then they hijacked it, and then completely they wiped the critical network switches and tweeted some disturbing tweets on their social media. Another critical infrastructure attack on Ukraine power was cut by a cyber attack in January 2017. And the famous WannaCry, which happened in May 2017 also, where you can see the world map and the impacts on computers and businesses around the world. Still in 2017, a month after the WannaCry, we had something called the New Patia, and this was like a piece of art of how hackers design their hacks. This was crafted very well, and it's like there was even some debates back in 2017 that this was created by artificial intelligence. There's no way the human creativity can reach to this advanced level. I remember this was in 2017. We are now in 2021. And fast forward to December 2020, last year, when we had a whole new level of playing cybersecurity. I mean, even some CISOs and security leaders started to say, this is not what we signed up for. This level of attack of a supply chain where we all trust inside our organizations was actually hacked, and hackers managed to get from this trusted supplier inside our organization and move laterally between our on-premise network infrastructure, then moving to the cloud and hacking Microsoft Exchange Server and hack our Active Directory on Azure. This is a whole new level that we are not signed up for, but this is unfortunately a reality. And this is not COVID. This is actually the map of the heat map for the SolarWind supply chain attack and the impacted businesses around the world. Another this year, critical infrastructure. This was in Florida in America again. This was hackers tried to poison water supply in the Florida city. Can you imagine what ideology or motivation they had to try to do such thing? But unfortunately, this is happening, and this happened earlier this year. And another one on this year as well, the Colonial hack, where it went wrong. It was a ransomware. They were just after financial gain, but unfortunately, what they did, because the company remediation action was to switch off the systems, it caused a major disruption in the southeast coast of the US for the energy supply. So you can imagine a cyber attack in the digital space, how can be devastating to impact our life in the real world. So with all these examples I gave you, and I'm sure this is now becoming headlines, what are we doing for defending ourselves? What are the actual remediations in place? So as you can imagine with these examples and the huge impact this can have on our lives, the demand on cybersecurity is at its max. I cannot stress more than just this statement here. It's the best time ever to join the cybersecurity because the demand is at its peak. On a government level, the United States, they have already established the Cyber Command, which is part of the Department of Defense. And in the UK, we have established just recently the National Cyber Force. And this is an initiative that is a combination between the GCHQ, MI6, and the Ministry of Defense to create this new force to protect the nation from cyber attacks. In my role in BFBS used to stand for the British Forces Broadcasting Service. It's a global organization supporting the military worldwide. And we are on a daily basis, we are dealing with a level of cyber attacks where it's not just about the secret kiddies trying to get some financial gain, where we are up against governments and advanced persistent threat groups where they have the latest and the greatest hacking tools and resources and the latest hacking tools that they present. I mean, some of these are getting presented in the Black Hat conferences, but some of these are still private and actually sold in the dark web. We have to use not only preventative measures, but we have to, because of our relation with the NCSC, we receive threat intelligence on a daily basis, trying to see who is talking about us on the internet, in social media, and even in the dark web, to understand who is preparing to attack us. So maybe by the time they orchestrate the attack and come to us, it will be too late for us to defend ourselves. So not only we are defending our gates and our fences and our cloud infrastructure, but we also have to listen and see who is trying to or preparing to attack us. And there's a great benefit for utilizing threat intelligence in your information security program. But I think the question I have here is where do we have enough people to fight the cyber warfare? It's good to have all these tools and initiatives and budgets. The National Cyber Force, it's budgeted in billions in the next few years. It's good to the government is allocating budgets for these initiatives, but we still need the human factor. We need the people to be able to operate and help fighting this war. So to give you another angle of the job landscape for cybersecurity and information security. This graph you see here, this is from the World Economic Forum. They have this top 10 expectations for the job growth, where they have information security analysts as one of these categories, and these are categories, there are subcategories under each of these 10. So the demand is 97 million jobs needed. These are vacancies expected to be required by the year 2025. So if you are still studying, you have a great future ahead of you. And if you are thinking to switch to cybersecurity, well done. And there are 97 million jobs in 10 categories. One of them is cybersecurity, to be fair. But if you divide it by 10, that's still 9.7 million jobs or job vacancies waiting for us in the cyberspace, in the cyber industry by the year 2025. You may also want to check the decreasing job demand in other areas. But you can see, I mean, if you look at this list here with a data analyst, AI and machine learning, big data, these are all technology related, and you can see this is mainly to do with the advancing technologies that require also security. Okay. So moving to the challenges with getting into the cybersecurity career. Now, we talked about the demand. We know there are millions of jobs are required to be filled in the next years to come. But unfortunately, there are some challenges. We in all sectors, not just cybersecurity sector, we need to think about when we try to hire more people in our sector. The first challenge I have here is the recruitment. There's a problem with recruitment. Let's address it here clearly. The recruiters are doing a great job trying to providing resources to companies. There's no doubt about their intention and the importance of the sector. But when it comes to cybersecurity, there's still the old-fashioned way of making the recruitment process as a checklist exercise or tick box exercise. They just get a list of the job description, job specs from hiring managers, and they just take the keywords, the buzzwords, and then just look only for candidates with these keywords. Whether this is, I mean, I have it here on the under professional training challenge, where they require specific certifications to be able to get a job. While this is in this day and age, this is an old-fashioned way of looking into CVs. There is a huge need for rethinking how we do recruitment in the recruitment sector to get the right people in the right job. There's also, I would say, a blame on the hiring manager side, where some companies, unfortunately, they are still when a hiring manager wants to create a job specs for a new role in security, it's like a competition for showing off that I'm going to hire someone with many requirements that are not needed for this role, which makes it impossible for people to apply for this role. Because when I see the list and there are 10 or 20 requirements, I only tick only 1 or 2 or 3, people will not apply. So companies are losing out good candidates because they are overestimating and overwriting their job description to get the talents they need for the role for the organization. So it's a combination between the recruitment sector as well as the hiring managers need to think of what they put in the job description. And also, if I just link it to the gender equality, and this is something I think known by, I follow some really good initiatives from women in cyber, and the main discussions they have there, and these are women talking about female candidates in the cybersecurity, and literally they're talking about the female, when they apply for jobs, they're looking for ticking all the boxes or most of the boxes, while male candidates, they tend to just apply for the fun of it and they don't really care of getting rejected. It's just, I think, a psychological thing we need to consider. If we are serious about getting more female candidates, and we are losing out a lot of very good female candidates, then we have to be mindful of what we are putting in the job descriptions. And I mentioned about the professional certifications, which is to do with, if I am a hiring manager, do I need someone with a CISP or any certification that I consider is a good certificate, while not necessarily it's really required for this role. If I'm hiring a security analyst to help me in my SOC function, why do they need a SOC? Or why do they need a CISSP certification? Why not like EC Council, an entry-level security analyst certificate, or maybe just accept the cybersecurity if they have a degree in computer science or in IT or cybersecurity, even better. Why we are still looking for specific professional qualifications as an entry for jobs with entry level. I understand that I said, I mean, in the ladder, which we will see in the next slides about the job ladder in the cybersecurity, but I think there's still this debate between academic education versus professional qualifications, which is still unsolved, and I don't see it being solved in the near future. Speaking about the academic education, and if you consider just in the UK, there are over, I think, last time I checked, 180 universities and colleges in the UK, and there are a good number of them. They have computer science and IT and cybersecurity. I can see universities have started to move to introducing practical labs and updating the syllabus to match to make the graduates learn skills that are relevant to the jobs they are applying to. I mean, the example I can give proudly from Gloucestershire University, I met with 3 graduates I invited for a one-day live session with me, CISO in Action Day, a virtual day, and I was so impressed with the level of practical experience and the wide knowledge of cybersecurity that I mean, if they already had secure jobs elsewhere, if they didn't have a job, I would definitely invite them to join my organization. This is how much I felt the practical training they received within their academic education, and the knowledge and the wide knowledge in the depth of the knowledge is impressive. But this is only a few universities we can see they are putting the effort to update the syllabus and introducing practical labs. We need to think about training the lecturers as well as training the students and updating these records. And a few weeks ago, I was in a conference in the defense sector where there was a huge discussion about how can we get more people if we need to work harder and in more collaboration with universities to introduce the academia to research problems available in the defense sector where researchers, whether masters or PhD, can, or even introducing certain optional modules for graduates who are interested to join the military and the armed forces in cyber roles. And there's a huge demand that we'll see in the next slide on what's happening in the, I mean, actually we covered that in the International Cyber Force, where there are really novel research problems in the defense sector that are really unique. And there's no one, neither the academic institutions or the professional qualifications go to this complex challenging issues, whether to do with cryptography or other SecDevOps, where there are really challenges only for the defense sector. For example, if you have submarines and you want the submarines to talk to airplanes or other military bases, there are some integration issues where security is the main blocker at the moment, where they are looking for some collaboration with academic sectors to help solving these issues. Speaking about the defense, there's by the defense sector and government, there's a requirement for the security clearance. One of the students I met from Gloucester University who was brilliant, he applied for one of the government organizations, but because the security clearance requires 9 months of waiting, he secured a job with another defense supplier where they did not ask him for to get the certification before starting the job. So that's another challenge for the government and defense sectors. There's a requirement for security clearance. And security clearance, if you're not familiar with it, this is about checking every aspect of your life to make sure that you are security cleared. And I mean, when I did mine, the security clearance questionnaire was asking about my parents when they got married and where they lived before they got married. This is how far this goes, and the security clearance is really they need to know everything about you. So these are the challenges currently in the cybersecurity. So yes, there's a huge demand, but unless we address these challenges in recruiting and training people in the cybersecurity, the gap will remain there. So the current solutions in the to bridge the gap in cybersecurity at the moment, I summarize it into 3 approaches: technical approach, people approach, and process approach. In the technical approach, at the moment, the different sectors, they are moving towards automation. And automation means instead of having people monitoring the process in different segments of the process, they try to rely on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotic algorithms to automate as much as possible. And I would like to draw your attention to the terminology here, that this is called the DevSecOps. And please, you will hear people, they mix between the two. There's a SecDevOps, I'll talk about it under the process. But for the security operations, when we introduce automation to it, so relying on algorithms and machine learning and so on, we are developing the way we automate the security operations, and that's why it's called the DevSecOps. That's the automation part, and that's what is currently being considered as a technical approach for the skill gap. The second technical approach is adapting or adopting the zero trust architecture model. This is one of the new buzzwords that's been introduced in the market recently about instead of trying to actually, as we are trying to consider what options we have to resolve the skill gap in the cybersecurity, why don't we make it hard for the hackers to hack into us by reducing the likelihood of getting hacked? So this is about reducing the attack surface into very strict architecture called zero trust model, where we raised the bar on how much authentication efforts and requirements we put on accessing our data on our systems. So that's about making sure the user authentication, device authentication, conditional access, all these terminologies are blended together into something called zero trust. Even Microsoft, it's recently pushing hard into adopting this new model, and this is a journey, by the way. There's no product called zero trust product, or if you get a firewall, then you have zero trust. This is the strategy in building your information security program, and I fully recommend it. The second approach is people approach. So when it comes to getting more people, staffing, we are thinking about either outsourcing or insourcing. Outsourcing means when you have when you realize you have a serious security issues here and you are way behind in protecting your business and your organization. So you start to hire or contract a company, an external company, to do the job for you. A common example for this is the SOC function, Security Operating Center. Instead of hiring 5 or 10 or 20 security analysts and the SOC manager to look after all the events in the organization, you can outsource your logs into somewhere. We call it the SIEM, Security Information and Event Management. So collect all the logs, put it somewhere for this external company to analyze for you using certain SOC tools and applications that can look into the logs, and they will look for the needle and the hash stack, and then they will look into certain events in the millions of events that look like they can't qualify to be a security incident or potential security incidents. So they will give you a report, or they try to help your IT team and internal team to fix and remediate these issues. That's one example. Obviously, there are patching can be outsourced, and other security requirements can be outsourced as well, firewall management and so on. Other companies, they have insourcing, where if they acquire more people, obviously they will get either contracts or hire more permanent staff. And obviously there's a good financial conversation to be had on which approach is more cost effective. Some companies, they mix both. Excuse me. They outsource some functions where there's no way to hire a 100K specialist into managing their cloud services. So that it's easier and cheaper for them to outsource one element of security, while they had more people hired on contract base or payment base to meet the demand for people. And the final approach is the process approach, where it's basically creating enterprises with security-aware culture. So instead of just relying on the technical team to provide security and protection mechanisms and configure firewalls and patch and update systems, they try to make the whole organization basically security aware by investing heavily in security training, security awareness training. And you can imagine, whether it's you are the CEO or you are a receptionist in an organization, your role is, as long as you have an email for this company, you will be a target, whether phishing attacks, whether social engineering, whether reporting security incidents when you see one. So this is part of investing in training the organization to be security aware, and this is a valid approach as well. And the last one here I have for you is the merging security into IT and DevOps. So companies, they try to train their IT team into doing more security as part of their job. Because, I mean, as you can imagine, IT is almost now blending and merging with security. So if you do IT firewalls or IT patching or IT configuration for your Windows machines or Linux machines, you're actually doing IT, but you need to do it in a secure way. So this is naturally happening, that your IT are becoming IT security, which means you are bridging the gap of the demand for security skills. So companies are investing in training their IT and technical teams with more security related aspects of their job role. And if you have a DevOps and Agile and product type company where you have already a DevOps and Agile software development in-house, this is, I think, this still we're way behind in introducing security into the DevOps, and this is called the SecDevOps, where you have your techies, your software developers. They understand security within the software development lifecycle, within the OWASP top 10 of risks that should be considered, and making sure the API security, which is a huge topic at the moment, and I see it really under considered by many companies, where they have backdoors called APIs into their applications and backend systems without considering security. And this has been the major source for hacking many companies in the recent events. Ideally, you would want to have a combination of the three approaches. Consider the three approaches when you consider bridging the gap for your organization. And this is, I promised, the last slide, is the current jobs in the cybersecurity. This has been the case for many years, and I wanted to add this slide here for you. If you consider getting into the cybersecurity market, you want to start a job, this is the ladder that you want to consider, depending on where you are now, where your skills at the moment are, and how to start into the cybersecurity. So entry level, starting as a security analyst or junior security associate or a pen test intern. All these titles are at the moment available, and I have the link for you here if you want to check it later. So when you search for jobs in the market, please be aware what jobs that you, with your current skills and experience and background, you are able to apply for these jobs. One of the major mistakes people don't know when they come to the cybersecurity market, they don't know which jobs they can apply to, and they will end up applying for jobs that are way above where they are currently, or they are applying for jobs where they are overqualified. So please make sure where you sit in this ladder and what skills you need to gain to jump the ladder to the next level. As you can see, from contributors, managers, directors, VP, and then Chief Information Security Officer. Some companies they swap between these last three. So sometimes you get the CISO reports to a director, or a director reports to a CISO, depending on the structure and the hierarchy of the organization. We'll talk about it maybe in the question time in more details on what training is required and how to jump from other sectors into the cybersecurity. But I just wanted to put this for you to have an idea of the ladder of cybersecurity market. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Asad, for the informative and well-structured slides and presentation and talk, and the information is really valuable for, to me at least, and I'm sure for the audience as well. And I would like to thank you very much for that. And this is it. It's working as a university. We really are keen to work with the industry, because especially in the cybersecurity, it's really it's a challenge for myself and colleagues to how kind of information we provided to our students. We have to maintain the up-to-date and the quality, and to be honest, it's very hard to do it ourselves. We have to work with you, Asad, and other people from other companies and the industry, so to maintain this, to maintain the quality actually, and to make sure that our students, they are employable. And this is the really challenge for us. And in terms of
Sorry, can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
I mean, for Gloucestershire University, I think you're doing an amazing job. It's the first time I pick up 3 students from your graduates, And the three of them, they secured jobs even before they graduate. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen it anywhere, to be honest. So well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's for the compliment. It's I'm glad to hear that. And to be honest, our graduate employability rate, it's something between 85 to 95 every year, which is we're proud of that, and we are keen to. And this is one of the reason we are making links with maintaining this links. I would like to announce on behalf of the university that anybody in this virtual team meeting, webinar, if you'd like to maintain the link with us, please contact Riel or myself to establish a link. I can see that we are working in parallel to have the same link with the NHS as well, Trust. We are in the process of establishing health tech hub, and the cybersecurity element is a major part. I think Mark is already here. He can talk about it if he's happy to jump in. There are few comments and questions from Mark, and the first comment from Mark Ferguson, he said it's an interesting point about the cybersecurity career challenges, and he said as a speaking of the PR, I can't help, but I think that's communication process be helped by showing candidates. Yeah, he's tried. It's a compliment about what you have done and with our student to show them the daily base. But there was a question from Mark about this is all quite amazing, Asad, given that the high level of attack currently being seen. What would happen if we moved into a significant physical conflict with, for example, he mentioned 2 countries. The threat seems such that they could shut down our infrastructure down, or at least severely disrupted.
So this is, I mean, if you imagine the 10 examples I think I gave in the slides on the critical infrastructure, if they all happen at once on one country, let's say the UK, yeah. they hijack the BBC and they broadcast some propaganda contents on our national television. They cut the electricity, they shut down the airports and traffic lights, and all these devastating events happen at once. This is where the national security is at stake, and that's why, I mean, the UK is only recently started to join all the forces I mentioned earlier in the National Cyber Force, where we will consider the GCHQ, the Ministry of Defense, and the MI6, where we will understand the global picture of who's trying to attack us and try to mitigate it before it happens. But this is I mean, there's a sector within the UK called the critical national infrastructure, where literally this is managed by the security agencies and trying to delay this major event from happening. My expectation from the level of events I am seeing, we will witness a major event in the next 10 years. This is not me being pessimistic. This is according to all the signs we can see, and the focus on critical national infrastructure and the adaptation of artificial intelligence and algorithms in some countries in uncontrolled level. Actually, it is purposely crafted to be part of the national attack forces, and that's why the UK saying, you know what, we are going to, I mean, all countries are doing it, and the UK is saying, you know what, let's make it as one national task force, national cyber force, where we will be able to protect ourselves from such event. Obviously, it has an offensive and defensive side of it. But yes, I mean, we need to all work together in all sectors to make sure security is everyone's responsibility, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just Mark Bailey from the NHS, from Gloucestershire Hospital. He's also mentioned that he's working in the local hospital, and happy to. When I first met Mark, I thought he has a PhD in computer science, and then I realized he's a medical doctor, but he's interested in. But we are doing some work with them, and a really good opportunity to work with the hospitals in different, especially in health tech and cybersecurity. I would like to also invite others if you have any questions, or if you I can give you the mic if you like. Stephen Mori, that's it. Any thought on whether the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp outage over the last 24 hours was actually a cyber attack, internal or external, rather than the claimed BGT update gone wrong? We just yes, Stephen, we just talked about it before we started with Asad, and yeah, go ahead, Asad.
Yeah, so I mean, last time I checked before literally this webinar, there's no official statement suggesting this is a cyber attack, and as I said, it could be a BGP related to DNS, and the same event that happened a few weeks ago, a few months ago, with other companies where the DNS company responsible for a critical part of making the domains available to the worldwide infrastructure got it wrong to do with the availability of the service. And I just want to make a general answer here and come back to the Facebook one. Unfortunately, security is mostly perceived by the public as a confidentiality issue. Security as it's to do with hacking and compromises and breaches. While in fact, when we go to the basics of information security and cybersecurity, the first lesson we learn is security equals CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality is making sure all the authorized people can access the data. Integrity means the data is the quality and the accuracy is always maintained. And the third one is availability, means the data is available to the authorized users. Unfortunately, availability is mostly shifted towards the resilience discussion and business continuity and disaster recovery, while it is actually your front door. I mean, the example of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram yesterday, we are talking about the access to the site and availability for the. It's all still speculations. There's no official statement on what was the root cause. But from similar events happened a few months ago, it was about the DNS layer, which is the front door for those who are not non-technical on the call with us. The DNS is like the front door. So if you have a massive secure website with all the investments and millions of investments in the security and firewalls and secure data centers, but you have your front door not secure from this DNS layer, you will end up with being blocked, and authorized users, legitimate users, will not be able to access your fantastic website and your lovely business. So I think it's really important for us to, seeing the repeated events, repeated downtime happening for major companies. These are Facebook and Google and others. The other day, Cloudflare and many companies who are spending millions on their cybersecurity, but yet we still see this downtime, which is affecting the availability of the security paradigm.
Asad, I would like to share some discussion with you this morning. We are in the process, my colleague, she's doing, okay, thanks, Stephen, proposing a master in human factor behavior. And yesterday, it's just about how human behave, including myself. When WhatsApp, Facebook, I don't have Facebook, WhatsApp, and I don't have Instagram, but I immediately start to communicate with others through Viber, especially international communication, and then you went to Twitter and Telegram. Telegram little bit was struggling to cope all this. I mean, it's a Facebook, WhatsApp is a massive. There are massive traffic over there, and move to. So that's something also we can discuss about human behavior when we have certain incidents, such as yesterday one. People start to move, and Viber, they are happy that the stock market is going up. It just, I mean, it's a link between a technical problem. I'm assuming this is not an attack, even if attack, but it's a fully technical problem which goes to human behavior that's reacting on certain cyber incidents, and then it change the company's stock market. I'm really it's amazing. What do you think about that?
Not certainly. I mean, just to add one caveat on the, as you said earlier, we are still waiting to hear the news. So it could be a major cyber attack on Facebook. We'll have a different story tomorrow or this evening, probably even. But we hope not. I mean, either way, the availability of this company was compromised. The availability was compromised. But on the very interesting project you talked about, this is something I think it has multiple angles where is it a master project, by the way, Dr. Ali?
It's a master course we are trying to establish. Yeah.
This is I 100% support it. It's really important, because I think one of the elements of it, as you said, I mean, when people they shift from one platform to another, what is the impact on the other platforms, and why businesses, if they are within this ecosystem of, if one system goes down, everyone goes to the other one, why it is important to consider the digital transformation, to consider scale up infrastructure. And this is something, I mean, as you know, the cloud is becoming the thing now, and most people use it, but there are still limited skills and training on how we can add maybe technical modules within this course of how to introduce a strategy for scaling up your business entirely when such events happen.
Okay, thank you very much for the support. And we are still in the process of validation that, and I will ask you for your feedback on that course.
Sure.
I will check the chat area. Nothing here. Okay, I would like also to announce that in our department we do have a PhD scholarship. I'm sharing that link. So if you know someone he or she is interested in doing a PhD with us, that is opportunity. Please feel free to contact me. There are information available in this link, and happy to take this further as well. I think we have, I think Peter Smith, you raise your hand. Yes. Hi, Peter.
Hi.
And can you introduce yourself and ask your question?
Hi. So I'm Peter Smith. I'm a graduate from the University of Gloucestershire. I did my master's back in 2019-20. I just have a question for Asad, and thank you for your presentation. So coming back to the issue with Facebook and Instagram recently. So they're reporting that at the moment as a misconfiguration, so a configuration error in their system that caused the issue. And I majored on human factors in cybersecurity in my master's. Now I get quite interested about this as a topic. So in what we're looking at here, if we described it in cybersecurity terms, we'd say it was a loss of availability in the CIA triad. So looking at it through a cybersecurity lens, but I think when I look at how these issues are categorized within businesses, they say, well, it's not a cybersecurity issue, it's an IT issue where we've misconfigured something. But at the end of the day, somebody human has done something that has caused a loss of availability. So I'd just be interested, Asad, in BFBS, if you suffered the same issue, would you categorize it as an IT issue, or would you categorize it as a cybersecurity issue?
Thanks, Peter. This is a very good question. And as you said, many businesses, they have this is an IT thing versus this is a security thing. Luckily in BFBS, we are ISO 27001 certified organization. So our entire IT IT infrastructure worldwide is ISO certified. And what this means, and why I'm referring to ISO 27001 in answering your question, Peter, is because if the business maturity in understanding information security comes from an international standard like ISO 27001, you will see in the Annex A of this standard, there's a whole section called business continuity. And to be precise, it's called the business continuity aspects of information security, which and this domain within the Annex A of ISO 27001 will raise the bar to the whole organization of considering the business continuity for the information as part of your information security and understanding of security. So I think it comes to the maturity of the organization, and if you encounter organizations where they still see it as an IT problem rather than as a security problem, they need to, I mean, maybe if are you working with a company that is currently seeing this way, or general observation?
Yeah, so I work for Torchlight Group, and we advise international governments generally in conflict and fragile affected states and the least developed countries on their cybersecurity aspects, amongst other things.
Very interesting. So I mean, depending on how the availability is important to the business survival, some companies, they take this element of ISO 27001 and then they take it to a whole new level, an international standard for business continuity called the ISO 22301. If you have, I'm sure you're familiar with it, where you are taking the business continuity in its own international standard and you benchmark it against this standard. But again, I mean, depending on the business, and this is something I think when the technicians or the security leaders in the organization, we need to educate the business, the board, on availability is a security matter as important as confidentiality. I think it's an education matter really to the business.
Thank you.
Thank
yes,
you.
it's I think it's about how that drives the response from the organization to the matter at hand.
Yeah, Peter, just before I finish, I mean, a very good example is the attack of ransomware. Ransomware is not a confidentiality problem. It is, or you can argue it is, but it's mainly about the availability of your security. So it's a virus that attacks your availability of accessing the data. And I think this is a good example. You can give it to businesses to understand why availability is part of security, not necessarily just an IT or an IT issue that can be can be mitigated with backups, which is not necessarily always checked and tested. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for the question. And Peter, keep in touch. Your alumni, we need your services to help our current student, and also we probably need your input and your company input regarding the master in cyber human factors. So keep in touch, Peter.
Yeah, we're very glad to. Thank you.
Dr. Ali, just to add one last comment on Peter's question, and this is like taking us to another topic, which is in the last few minutes in the defense sector, we talk about something called mission assurance, the concept of making sure. I mean, in the private sector, if you get hacked, I will just pay the fine to the ICO if I can get away with it, right? Or I'll get the insurance company to pay my losses. While in the defense sector, where we talk about the mission assurance, which means we build the entire system, the ecosystem of the defense in different sectors of it, where we don't allow any likelihood of compromise with the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So it's very interesting when I discuss security with private sector versus when we talk about in the defense umbrella. It's about the security resilience rather than just cybersecurity. And let's meet the KPIs and let's make good fancy PowerPoints to the board and that shows that we are doing a good job. The military and the defense, and I'm sure the NHS, if you think another critical example where you need data to be always available, and it's the mission assurance for the data is available and it is accurate and available all the time to the authenticated users or authorized users, is combining the three aspects of security: confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Peter, for the question. Thanks, Dr. Asad. We still have 2 minutes. If there's a very final questions to Asad, because we need to do this webinar monthly, and we need to do it sweet and short during the lunchtime. Ala, can you, Ala Shumari, feel free to ask your questions, please. You are muted, Ala.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, your voice is a little bit low. Can you just make sure to? We can't hear you, Ala.
Like many on radio.
You're broken. Your voice is broken, Ala. If you write your question in the chat area, and I'm sure Asad will happy to answer your question, please. Any other question? We have 1 minute, and then we need to. Sorry, Ala, we can't hear you. Sorry about that. Write your question in the chat area, and Asad will reply to you. So, please ladies and gentlemen, join me and thanks Asad for his wonderful talk and for his time. Many thanks for you as well to attending this webinar. Feel free to join us next month in the 2nd of November. Rial and Justine will share the information with you. So we come to the end. So thank you very much, Asad, and that is really wonderful talk.
Thank you everyone for your time.
I appreciate your time, and we will keep in touch, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
have a nice day.
Thank you.